Hi everyone, welcome to my art studio. I'm Yasna and I'm here to teach you how to start painting from the very basic level to all the way professional level. Well, last session we talked about blue and orange. This session we talk about green and red. Let's begin.
What tools you need to get started? I always recommend glass palette, but you can prepare any palette you feel comfortable with. Then you need a piece of fabric to clean your brushes with, and then you need a palette knife to put the colors on a palette, and then you need a couple of brushes just to test your colors on a paper or on a cardboard. Any brushes would be suitable. And of course, primary colors, which are cadmium red, cadmium yellow, and ultramarine blue. And titanium white as well to light your colors. Now we start to put color green and red. And you all know how to create green color. If you don't know, please check out our color theory video to understand how to mix up the colors. To creating green, we need blue and yellow. When we put more blue, the color green would be cooler. And when we mix up with more yellow, the color green would be warmer. This is a tip I want you to know. And now let's mix up our color and see how magically green would show up. Well, as you learned in creating orange and blue palette, we do the same process. We first divide our colors to 3 parts for beginners, of course, and then we put colors from the less amount to huge amount, and we add it together, the same process as you see in a video, and then we mix it up and see how colors make and how a palette create. As you see in the video, the top row where I mix in more red and the bottom row where I mix in more green don't really look that different. That's why in the bottom row, which was supposed to have green as the dominant color, I'm adding more green. Well, these kind of accident or mistakes are totally natural. I'm actually glad it happens here because it gives the chance to me to explain whenever your color end up too close to each other and it's hard to see the difference, you can always add more of your main color, which are in this palette, our main color are red and green. Now let's talk about adding white. As you remember, white not only makes the color lighter, but it also gives you a value range, in other words, differences in light and darkness. Here I'm mixing each color with white one by one, and you can clearly see how it changes. The way it's much easier to understand what each color would like when light hits it and how bright or pale it can become. To build your palette, you can work between the lightest version of your color, the one mixed with white, and your darkest color. By mixing those two again, you can create another gradient of color. For example, you can add 3 or 4 more steps in between that will expand your palette even further. You can also mix the color 2 by 2 and see how many new variation you can get. This way your palette becomes much wider and richer. The characteristic of white is that when you mix it into your color, it makes the color cooler. Why does that happen? When you add white to a color, it lowers the saturation. So here's the note. The lower the saturation of a color, the cooler it appears. Now, as you can see, the palette on the top row mixed with red looks warmer compared to the one mixed with green. Why? Because red usually has higher saturation than green. Another point is the level of the grayness in a color. If you look here, the color I outlined is the coolest one because it's the most gray. And how do you get a gray color? By mixing two complementary colors in roughly equal amounts. And when I say equal, I mean the pigments themselves should balance each other. For example, the mixing green and red, you naturally need less amount of red since red is stronger. But once the pigments are balanced, the result will be gray. And gray is actually the coolest and the most neutral color of all. So when I say red and green palette, I don't just mean pure red and green, I also mean the colorful grays. Now let's build a color chart and see how they look next to each other. The darker ones are our dark values and the lighter ones are our light values. Remember, dark doesn't always mean black, and of course light doesn't always mean white. And here I'm creating a dark value chart. Between two colors, you can always mix a few more steps. I'll show you part of it here, but I want you to try it at home. As I said, dark and light doesn't always black and white. For example, my dark value could be a deep green, while my light value could be a pale pink, as you can see. Another important point is that even when we place two light colors next to each other, both mixed with white, one of them can see red as darker and the other as lighter. The same thing happens with dark colors too.
Alright guys, that's it for this session. Thanks for watching the video. If you find this video helpful, please don't forget to like, subscribe and comment below the video. See you next session. Bye.